As great as big AAA gaming blockbusters are, sometimes a smaller scale game made by just a few people can hit even harder. Indies have been one of the biggest highlights of the Switch generation, as the hybrid form factor of this console is perfect for these types of experiences. Since they're often not very graphically intensive, they can run on both Switch 1 and 2 with very few compromises, and usually at a super low price as well. That's not to say they're less impressive games though, as the level of creativity in the gameplay, art direction, and music is still incredible. A lot of these games are some of my all-time favorites, and today I'm going to be counting down my top 15 indies on the Nintendo Switch. As usual, these are just my opinions that I'm sure you'll disagree with at some point, and I'm only including indies that I've actually played on the Switch myself. I'll go over some honorable mentions at the end, which will include a few games that I've played on other platforms. This entire list is playable on the original Nintendo Switch, which of course means they're also available on the Switch too. Now let's get started. Cuphead is a super charming and difficult 2D platforming boss rush game that has a terrific old-school hand-drawn animation style. It looks and sounds unlike anything else, and its tight controls and satisfying parry system make it a lot of fun to play. Of course, the boss fights are the main attraction here, and their high difficulty but short length makes it feel like you're always just one attempt away from finally taking them down. The gameplay can be a bit repetitive when you get stuck on a tough fight, but you'll eventually feel like a platforming master as you dodge and weave your way through a constant barrage of attacks. The art style and music are what really take it all to the next level, and it really stands out when compared to other games. Despite my lack of skill and dying more times than I'd cared to admit, this is still one of the finest indies available on the Nintendo Switch. Katana Zero is dripping with style and polish, and using its core mechanic of slowing down time while taking out a room full of enemies is one of the coolest feelings ever. You can kill every enemy in one hit, but the same goes for you. Learning the best routes through a room until you can perfectly work your way slicing through everything in your path is so much fun. The story is a bit overcomplicated and hard to follow, but the soundtrack and overall aesthetic are more than enough to keep things engaging. This game has some of the best pixel art on the whole list, with each level having a distinct and memorable vibe. It's not a very long game, but if you're someone who enjoys speedrunning and optimizing your gameplay, there will be a lot of replayability here. And with free DLC on the way soon, there's even more reason to give this one a go. Spiritfarer has a relaxing atmosphere and a reflective story that complement each other really well, with both life sim and platforming elements that make it one of the best cozy games on Switch. Its beautiful visuals and unique character designs are both stellar, with plenty of emotional goodbyes that will leave an impact. Its themes of death and acceptance are pretty heavy, but it still manages to have plenty of moments of levity to keep it from being too much of a downer. While I wasn't personally a huge fan of the way the whole story wrapped up, that just comes down to opinion, and I'm sure the ending will work for most people. This game has that loop of collecting, crafting, cooking, and management that gave me comfort and routine when I needed it, and I'll always be grateful for that. Balatro is a poker-themed roguelike broken down into its most essential aspects, which makes it dangerously addicting. As someone who usually can't get into deck builder games, this is the one that finally grabbed me and got me to constantly keep trying new runs until I won a game. For only having one main theme, it's super impressive how the music never gets old even after hours of playing. The Joker cards are what really shake things up and give you the chance to start building some crazy combos. Seeing those numbers on the side light on fire is an amazing feeling, and shooting past the required numbers of chips makes you feel unstoppable, until you go up against a boss blind that ruins your entire build and your run ends before you even know what happened. But all that does is motivate you to try again with a different approach. This game is proof that a simple setup and structure can end up being incredibly fun and rewarding if done well. Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom is a spiritual successor to the Wonder Boy series, and it's a delightful Metroidvania with some really fun animal transformations you'll unlock over the course of the game. I know it might get old that I keep saying all these games have incredible art styles, but this is another one that just looks stunning at times. It plays like a retro platformer in a lot of ways, which means it can feel a bit janky to control at times. But the diverse environments, creative boss fights, great soundtrack, and satisfying progression system are all really solid. While there are other Switch games in this genre that are better, this is still a very enjoyable experience that I highly recommend. There's also the remake of Wonder Boy and the Dragon's Trap that arguably looks even better, so if you're looking for a more classic and faithful game from this series, that's a great option as well. A short hike is pretty much exactly what its title suggests, and its simplicity is exactly what makes it so refreshing. Its mini open world is a ton of fun to explore, and you get to decide how much time you want to spend searching for feathers and talking to the charming characters of this world. Your ultimate goal is to make it to the top of the mountain so you can get cell service and call your mom, but you're bound to get distracted along the way. It's the perfect way to spend a few hours, and I still find myself coming back to this game to aimlessly wander around for a while. It genuinely gives me the same sense of exploration and discovery that something like Breath of the Wild does, just on a much smaller scale. It made a pretty big impact on me when I first played it, and I love what it represents in the larger gaming landscape as a whole, that a short adventure can still be a very memorable one. SteamWorld Dig 2 is one of the first Metroidvanias I ever played, and it's what really got me hooked on this genre. Its digging and mining gameplay loop makes every venture into the underground a lot of fun, and the overall steampunk aesthetic is great. You get to shape the world as you dig down, and the upgrades to your moveset make for some really fun platforming challenges. It expands on the original in pretty much every way I wanted it to, with a larger map, better unlockables, and a more interesting story. I've always had a soft spot for this game since it was one of those early indie games I played in the first few years of the Switch's life, so I'm definitely a bit biased with this one. But I really do think its distinct style of exploration and inventive setting are worth experiencing. Out of all the SteamWorld games, this is easily the best one, but Heist and Quest are solid games as well. Hades is my favorite roguelike on Switch thanks to its stellar writing and strong story progression. Constantly dying and restarting comes with the genre, but it never feels too frustrating since there's always new dialogue to listen to when you get back. And you're also slowly making progress through permanent upgrades that help you get farther, so making it to the end never feels impossible. Finally building that perfect combination of weapons and specials that works for your playstyle feels amazing, and there are so many different builds that can take you all the way to Hades. These versions of Greek gods and monsters are some of the coolest I've ever seen. Then you throw in some high quality voice acting and fantastic music, and this really is one of the best indies on the console. The sequel is right around the corner and is coming to both Switch 1 and 2, so now is the perfect time to jump into the original if you haven't already. Sayonara Wild Hearts is sort of a playable pop music album that's only a few hours long, and it absolutely rules. Each level and its accompanying song are terrific, and the amount of new ideas being constantly thrown at you makes for an incredibly fun and fast-paced ride. Its simplistic visuals are stunning, with great use of color and interesting shifts in perspective. There are so many moments throughout this game that are simply euphoric, and it has a high level of replayability thanks to the music and scoring system. The sense of speed and snappy controls demand your full undivided attention while playing, but it still manages to feel somewhat relaxing and soothing at the same time. This game is the perfect example of quality over quantity, as it packs all of its best ideas into one concise journey that leaves you wanting more. This one was kind of hard to rank since it's going for something totally different than the other games on this list, and that's exactly why I love it so much. CrossCode has one of the most unique settings of any game I've played, as it's a single-player experience that takes place in the world of an online MMO. Its story and characters are well written and engaging, the combat is fun and flashy, and the soundtrack is so good that you'll want to stay in areas longer than you have to just so you can keep listening to it. The dungeons and puzzles can be way too long and demanding at times, but at their best they feel straight out of a 2D Zelda game. It's really this game's world building that makes it so great, as learning how this world operates is consistently fascinating. I loved spending time in the Cross Worlds, and the twists and turns of the narrative kept me invested all the way to the end. This is a very ambitious game that stumbled in a few areas for me, but it's still an impressive accomplishment overall that quickly became one of my favorite indies. Hollow Knight used to be one of those games that I just couldn't get into, but recently I gave it another shot and it finally clicked for me. Its difficult and precise combat can be frustrating, but that's also what makes it so rewarding when you finally overcome the tough challenges in your path. It's an excellently designed Metroidvania, with a massive map and transformative upgrades that heavily impact exploration. The boss fights are some of the best out there, with inventive designs and difficult attack patterns that make defeating them feel fantastic. There are still times where I wonder if I'm really enjoying playing this game due to its punishing gameplay, but the incredible atmosphere and music always keep pulling me back in. Overcoming this world where everything is trying its hardest to kill you became something that I had to do, and I finally discovered why this game resonates with so many people. And now that Silksong is finally releasing, I'm sure it'll be another must-play indie game on Switch. Celeste is a difficult 2D platformer about making it to the top of a mountain, and its beautiful pixel art, legendary music, and story focused on overcoming hardship make it a rewarding climb that everyone should experience. The quick respawn helps avoid a lot of frustration, as you can always try again immediately after messing up. Every death teaches you what to do differently next time, and the game excels at motivating you to get up and keep trying. It has a personal and impactful story about acceptance and anxiety, which goes perfectly with its difficulty as you push yourself to progress. The entire game is built around your mid-air dash, which is such a great core ability that sets it apart from other platformers. There's so much creativity in the level design, with each chapter having multiple unique mechanics that are both fun and challenging. This game is a masterpiece that I love more and more as time passes. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is quite possibly my favorite Metroidvania of all time because of its gorgeous visuals, satisfying platforming, and powerful story. It's a near-perfect follow-up to Blind Forest, improving on every critique I had of that game to create an experience that impressed me with every new environment, boss fight, and upgrade. This is a terrific Switch port that looks great and also somehow runs at 60 FPS, and while of course it looks sharper on other consoles, I can still solidly recommend this version. One of the things I love most about this game is its pacing, as there's always a new ability or collectible to find as you explore with very little downtime. The exciting boss encounters and escape sequences are thrilling to play through, and the combat gives you so many options to play around with. From its exceptional art direction to the amazing soundtrack, this game is an artistic triumph that I have so much love and respect for. Deltarune is a parallel story to Undertale, and in its first 4 chapters it's already become one of my favorite games of all time. The writing and jokes are delightful, and I'm fully invested in seeing where this story goes in future chapters. I love spending time with this strange cast of characters, and it's impressive how much fun and imagination is poured into every element of this game. The turn-based combat is a ton of fun thanks to the creative enemy designs and their unique ways of attacking, and the game often veers off into unexpected new directions that keep things feeling fresh. Possibly my favorite part of this game is its music, as these songs are constantly on repeat in my daily life. The soundtrack ranges from being infectiously upbeat and positive to hauntingly dramatic and serious, and there are just so many incredible themes that I love listening to. Deltarune is the closest any game has ever come to taking the #1 spot as my favorite indie game of all time, but for now there's still one other game that holds that title for me. Stardew Valley is the ultimate life sim that has provided me countless hours of warmth and comfort, acting as a sort of second home that never changes despite all that's happening in my life. There's a truly ridiculous amount of content to enjoy here, with a laid-back and relaxing pace that keeps me coming back to Pelican Town to spend time building the perfect farm or just to appreciate the atmosphere of each passing season. The residents you interact with are all fleshed-out characters that you want to build friendships with, and learning their daily schedules or what gifts they'd like the most for their birthday is really rewarding. There's about 1,000 different things you can do each day, but it never feels too overwhelming since you always have small, obtainable goals on the horizon like building a stable or harvesting a large batch of crops. The music of each season matches their vibe incredibly well, and this genuinely might be my single favorite video game soundtrack of all time. While I love all the games on this list, Stardew Valley is the one that I've put the most hours into by far, and it'll be the one that I continue to play for long into the future as I still feel like I've only scratched the surface of everything this game can offer. And that's my list of the best indies on the Nintendo Switch. All 15 of these games are terrific and excel in different areas, so it was pretty hard to try and rank them all. Of course, I wasn't able to include every great indie game that's out there, so I also want to include a bunch of honorable mentions here at the end. Some of these I've played and enjoyed, and others are still on my personal wishlist. Animalwell, Blasphemous, Bug Fables, Dead Cells, Disco Elysium, Firewatch, Golf Story, Inside, Night in the Woods, Nine Souls, Sea of Stars, Shovel Knight, Untitled Goose Game, Vampire Survivors, and Yoku's Island Express are all worth checking out. And then there's also games like Outer Wilds, Tunic, Sifu, and Stray that I love, but didn't include since I haven't played them on Switch and can't speak to the quality of those ports. Indie games often resonate in different ways with all of us, so I'd love to hear what your favorites are in the comments, as I'm sure I left out a few great ones. I really enjoyed playing and thinking about all these amazing indies while making this video, as these games are a constant form of inspiration and motivation for me creatively. I always look forward to seeing what a small group of passionate developers can pull off. And now I'm going to go into hibernation for a few weeks until Silksong comes out.